Okay, so as the title suggests, this video is going to be about trolls on YouTube, perpetrators on online and on YouTube, and sometimes in the comment section, sometimes not. Um, but before we get to that, I just wanted to point out, because I like documenting these things. I had to go downstairs today, and one of the perpetrators, who I know he's a perpetrator, I know for a fact, when I was walking back to the elevator, he passed by just enough to let me see him, and he said something to a woman who I see sometimes. Very quietly, he leaned into her, said something, and she looked over at me. So, and of course, I was wearing my mask because now we all have to wear masks in the building when we're out, and when I mean out of the apartment. Okay, I say out when we're out all the time. I don't mean outside. I mean out of the apartment. Okay, we can't really go outside. But I guess he was just pointing me out and saying, "Hey, hey, that's him," or whatever. I don't know. Either way, he has no business being here. He worked here when he was driving for certain certain activities, and those activities have been canceled. So he has no reason to be here now. There's only one reason that he's here, and that's me. Um, and I know he's got some amount of power, unless that was just a show. I mean, I know I was meant to see him, and I was meant to see him, kind of lean in and tell her something so she could look over. It's more paranoia, more confirmation that they're here, they're everywhere, and they haven't left. Right? It's just to keep me constantly afraid and agitated and on edge. Even still, he probably does have power. I don't know if he's a handler. I don't know, but he's not just a common perpetrator. Okay. His name, well, I'm not going to give his name. And two, he could be using a fake name. Let me be clear with that. Just because something is, we're given information that doesn't make it true. In fact, when it comes to something like this, we're going to be given false information. It's going to be one misdirection after another. But his name is German. Okay, his last name is German, not his first name. It's German, or it could be German Jewish. But yeah. So anyway, on to the purpose of the video. Perpetrators in the comment section. Now, when I talk about perpetrators in the comment section, I'm not talking about the obvious perpetrators or the trolls. Some people are just trolls trying to mess with us because they enjoy it. But I had a major troll once, and he's the same guy who was commenting and harassing a lot of targets online, and he was very outspoken, and he was overtly nasty. He was overtly nasty. He didn't do it in a covert manner. He was quite nasty. He wasn't hiding it. We all know that they're there, and he hasn't bothered me in a while. I'm not going to name him because I don't want to give him attention. And I haven't seen him on the video, the commenting in the videos of other targets for a while either. So maybe he was reported. I don't know. Hopefully, he was shut down. I don't know. When I talk about perpetrators in the comment section, I'm not talking about overt harassment like that. I'm talking about covert harassment. So, for example, what they'll do sometimes is in the comment section, and this is online, but it's offline too, right? It can happen offline too, not just online. But they'll go into a whole list of things that have happened to them, and first of all, here's what happened to me, and this is quite disturbing. So I was talking about how things don't change in society. I was talking to people about how, we can look back on the crimes of the past and think that, we're so glad that we don't live during those times, but we do. Okay, the most horrific crimes that have ever been committed in the past are still being committed. It's just more covert now because people can't get away with these things overtly in the West. But they still have a desire to hurt people. They still have an inherent desire to conquer, to destroy, they enjoy inflicting pain on others. And they're going to find a way to do that. And they're going to do it in any way they can. But now it's just more covert because that means they can get away with it for longer. So I was talking about that with some people. And then a day after that conversation, there was a comment on one of my videos. And it started talking about, first of all, the name on the name, the name on the commenter, the last name was the same last name as someone that I'm currently dealing with professionally. And I know it's not the same person. He's not going to do that. but they're showing me it was the same last name as someone that I'm now dealing with professionally um, over business matters. But the same last name just spelled differently, and they'll do that sometimes. They'll make references to people I know, people I've just spoken with, people I've just dealt with, and so on. So that was the first thing that got my attention, the last name, that's the exact same as the person I'm dealing with in real life right now, and not a bad person. I say dealing with, it sounds bad. I don't mean bad. I mean for business reasons. That in a different first name. That was to get my attention. Okay. But then the rest of the comment, what was being said was, this person was talking about the things that have happened to him and so on. But what he was doing, he was literally listing things that have happened to me. And to be sure, a lot of targets get the same treatment, right? Some of the treatment between targets is standard. It's the same. And of course, our harassment is tailored to each individual target depending on what will work best at provoking us. But a lot of things are exactly the same. So just because someone has the same story doesn't mean that they're perpetrators, right? That's the first thing. But this guy was really, he really listed, everything that had happened to me, but he was saying it, and then he listed a few other things that didn't yet happen to me, and they were violent, threatening me or threatening my family. So, that is covert harassment. That's how it's done. So they're just showing me, yeah, we're still here. Okay. And of course, it's meant to be an attack. It's meant to put us under constant attack where we can't fight back. And that isn't natural. Human nature, if you're being attacked, is to fight back. Just as if you're being swarmed by insects, is to jump around and swat at them and stomp and, and run and things like that. Standing still and not being able to fight back is the hardest thing possible. And they know that at some point a target is going to fail and start lashing back. And that's the point they want to get us to. Okay, then they have us. Then they'll have us arrested or deemed mentally ill, or we break down and look like the bad guys. Anyway, so this is one form of covert harassment in the comments sections. Another one, though, I've noticed is that sometimes on other targets, their channels, someone will make a comment and it'll be referencing something in my life, or the name will be someone that I know personally, right? And of course, it's not that person, and I know, because they know that the targets, we're going to be watching each other's channels, right? So they're going to try to get to us however they can. And I knew well enough to know that it wasn't the person's channel, that person wasn't the one doing it. Whoever was commenting was. And then a while back, I noticed that someone who had been commenting on my channel was also commenting, making the same exact comments in other videos that I watched, but the videos were not necessarily gang stalking related. They could be completely unrelated. They could be the news. They could be about sports, entertainment. It could be anything. And he was there, the same person making the exact same comments he made on my video. So I know that he's a perpetrator. And he didn't make nasty comments either. It's just, it's meant to show you that even you just can't trust anyone. These vermin are swarming everywhere. They're there. Okay, it's like an infestation. And I'm wondering, could this be a way of trying to use targets against each other? Just like some of the perpetrators were on, the videos of another target in the comment section, so that I would see some of those comments. Could they be doing the reverse? Could I thought that, once I realized this guy was making the same comments in all these other videos that I was watching, videos that were in my feed, right? And I thought it was directed at me. Could it actually be directed at another target? Because they know other targets are going to watch my videos, right? And two, we have the disappearing comments, right? A while back, someone left comments on my channel, and they were nice. They were actually defending me, and they were standing up against one of the major trolls that was the perpetrators that was trolling a lot of us at that point. And then all of a sudden, their comments were deleted. The perpetrators' comments were not deleted, but the person who was defending me, his or her comments were deleted. No, I certainly didn't delete it. So then, we're left wondering what happened. Did YouTube delete it? Did a perpetrator get them deleted? Or did the person delete his or her own comments? Or was that even a legitimate person to begin with? Or was that person just a perpetrator? It's to keep you guessing always, because you never know. And this is why I wonder, can we, and I know targets can be used against each other. I know they can. And in so many ways. And that's what one of the former, a prior video I made was about, you know, and I know I'm going off topic now, but you got to be careful. Don't give the perpetrators easy targets, right? When you take entire groups of people and lash out at them and try to demonize them and scapegoat them disproportionately, you're creating easy targets. You can assume then that anybody in that group, the majority of the people in that group are going to be targeted. And who knows, maybe the perpetrators are creating that targeting to make the group easier to target, because they know that the masses unfortunately need some group of scapegoats to gather together against, some enemy to gather together against. So they give the masses an enemy. And that enemy could be the latest group of targets. That this is why I don't, I'm not going to, in these videos, lash out at entire groups of people, even if I wonder if maybe they're behind it. I question, right? But I'm not gonna come out and accuse them. It's why even if I think someone online is a perpetrator, I'm not gonna name them, only because I don't know for sure. And if there's any chance this person could be a target, I do not want to make that person's life worse by trying to insinuate that he or she is a perpetrator, right? Let's not make this worse for each other. We can't live in a society where we want freedom, but we don't allow that to others, or we don't want it done to us, but we can justify doing it to others. Because no matter how horrific a certain treatment is, there's always some group of people that are being targeted disproportionately, condemned disproportionately, and scapegoated, where people say, well, it's wrong if it's done to these other groups, but it's okay if it's done to this group, because they don't like something that the people in that group did. Maybe a political choice, maybe it's a religious difference or a lifestyle choice, I don't know. We can't expect freedom if we live in a society where we say it's only wrong when it's done to me. When we have people saying that the only sins that are bad are the sins of other people, but their own sins should be overlooked, right? The only flaws that are bad are the flaws of other people, but their own flaws should be overlooked. It doesn't work that way. It goes back to the golden rule. If you don't want it done to you, don't do it to others, okay? And I would say this, if you're not perfect, you're not living a perfect lifestyle. How can you take an entire group of people and bash them into the ground because you don't agree with their lifestyle? I especially in the targeted community, we're all being targeted. We're all under this program. Why make it easier for the perpetrators to target specific people? Because that is all that kind of thing does. It pretty much hands these psychopaths easy targets, right? Because as certain groups of people are being isolated even more, then they're being run out of society, even by people who should be their allies. It makes it harder for them to get help from anybody. I cannot fathom how anyone would do that to someone. I can't. Don't let them use you against other targets. And I'm going to try really hard also to not allow that. Sometimes I have to hold back, and I do. But this is difficult. This is like a reboot of Zersetzung, right? During the Stasi, when, during communism in East Germany, when the Stasi attacked anti-communists, right? This is Zersetzung 1,000-fold. And just like they weren't believed back then, people who complained about it back then were called mentally ill and they were institutionalized. And that's how the Stasi, that's how the communists got them out of the way, got the anti-communists out of the way. They accused them of being mentally ill for complaining about things that actually were happening. It was a setup. They were setting them up for a false mental illness diagnosis, and that's what's happening now. And I won't pretend to know what group is doing this. I don't know. I know a lot of targets have their ideas, and some might be right, and some might not. I don't know. We need to defend each other. We need to stand by each other, and we need to learn how this works, okay? So that said, if any comments on my channel offend another target, I apologize. I can't, I tend to leave comments up only because I want a record of what's going on. And two, a lot of the comments are nice, and I can't just keep deleting, comments that seem nice because I don't know whether they're perpetrators or not, right? And vice versa, if I see a comment on your channel, whoever you are, of course, I know that it's not you doing that. I know that it's not a setup. The perpetrators are trying to frighten us away from each other. And we need to be mindful of that. Anyway, I know I'm leaving some things out of this video. I'm just tired. Peace.